Does good tooling make a good tradesman? Well, if you ask your local Snap-on dealer, he'll tell you exactly that. It's Pat from North Oz Heavy, and in today's episode, we're going to be running through some basic tooling, some unique tooling that I like to carry, and then the high-end tooling. And if you hang around at the end, I'm going to answer the question, does good tooling make a good tradesman? You're going to be surprised by my answer. Let's get into it. All right, what basic tooling do I carry and what advice do I have for you? Before we get into it, just smash that like button and drop me a comment. I'll get back to all of you. It really helps ramp up the algorithm and motivates me to make more in-depth content for you guys. So now, when it comes to basic toolings, I'm a big fan of affordability. There's no need to be going and spending thousands of dollars on spanners for the sake of it, right? Reason being is cheap to replace. They're a high wearing tool. You're going to lose them inevitably, right? You're going to drop them into places that you're just not going to be able to get them back from. You're going to forget them. And so some advice when it comes to buying tooling like this, right? I'm a big advocate for buying tools in a hard case. Now, a couple different reasons. One, being easy to carry up on the machine. Number two, really easy to identify when you lose a tool. There is nothing more frustrating than losing tools, right? And if you just have a mess of a tool bag or a socket rails, I think those socket rails are a joke. Never found one that I like. Me personally, I like the plastic kits. Milwaukee's great for that, right? And super affordable. Some other advice is obviously Milwaukee don't do the multi-point heads. And you know, the kits are just great for storage as well too. When you go to put them in the ute, they slot in there really nicely, right? So advice for spanners. This is a good one. If you're pressed for space or money, go buy yourself an Imperial roll, and pretty much you've only got to add a few things in there. So like a 10 mil and then an 18 mil. Now people say, oh yeah, but 9/16 is slightly bigger than 14 mil. Well, add a 14 mil in there as well too if you like, but most of the sizes cross over. And if you're pressed for space and money, go buy yourself an Imperial roll, and then it goes on, you know, all your bigger sizes, 1.5 inch is 38. You don't need to go and double buy them if you want an affordable option, right? So now if you are looking at getting into the diggers, some really good advice for the diggers, right? Go buy yourself a set of DIN spanners, slim, great to get into places, and then you will never, some advice with that, you'll never really use the 65 to 70 mil spanners. I reckon I've used mine about once or twice in my career. It's all those common sizes down, right? You might need to add a 38 mil spanner in there. That's another common one that annoys me, but I've got that now. Now, Allen keys. Go buy yourself a couple of cheap sets of Allen keys because you're going to need to cut these down at times. You're going to make your ball end sockets out of them. So go buy yourself a couple of metric sets of those. Now, unique tooling and high-end tooling. This is my favorite topic, and I have a few unique pieces that you mightn't have seen before, and then I have a few that you probably will have, but I have a different spin on them. And then my favorite, the high-end tooling. I have a lot of high-end tooling, and I love it. So let's get into it. Unique tooling, one of my favorite, right? So to start off with, pretty basic, we just got our DIN spanner extenders. Straight one, and then you mightn't have seen the 45 degree. Why do I have the 45 degree one? Because 996s, the case drains on those swing motors, pumps, just everyone over tightens them, and then to get them, I made a DIN spanner extender, right? Now, Allen key extender bar. You've probably seen these before, but mine is a stainless bit of pipe with a heavy walled spacer on either end, because as you would have seen, if you've seen these before, they're always flared out because they're too light for what you're using them for. Now, 10 strong and 10 light metric fittings for purging. For grease lines, also have JIC and O-ring face for all that other Japanese stuff. Plus a track tension grease adapter. It's like a circle, very handy when you're working on the diggers. Milwaukee hydraulic pump. It's battery powered. And what I use this for is brake release pressures. At times I've used it for pilot pressure as well too, when you've got a machine that's dead. So you can do the emergency lower functions, and I've used it to extend boom cylinders when you're doing them on the shovels. Now, pulling eyes. Can't stress this enough. You need a multitude of these, especially that M20, M16 size. Great for pulling pins in when you're up in the basket with the come along. Allen keys. Allen key come along extender, right? This is for 996 valve banks and hard pipes. I actually don't have a photo or a video of this one, but unique bit of tooling that I used to use when it was when you were on your own in the valve bank area doing a hard pipe on the 996s. Guide studs, multiple sizes and lengths. So M20 is a really common size. And also M16. So I have a really long set of M16 extender studs, and this is for doing your PTO lip seals. So you can use it on the Allen K's and on the Lee Bears as well too. So to get them out of the housing when the PTO is still in the machine, usually they do it standing up and it goes in really easily. But those ones are like my go-to stud. You know, I don't only bust them out every now and again, but when I do bust them out, amazing bits of kit. So you need multiple different size guide studs. Every kind of T-piece and adapters when it comes to metric, strong and light. I can't stress that enough, and I have a few that's just something I've accrued over the years, but it's really handy when it comes to testing, and you need multiple different sizes of the sizes that you're going to be using. Now, main reliefs that are preset for set flowing secondaries is so much easier than going, and if your mains are good, it's so much easier to go and jam a set of dummies that I know are set at 400 into the machine, and then boom, I can just go from there instead of having to disturb them. And saying that as well too, I have a 34mm deep socket, 1/2 inch, that's shaved down. Now, why do I have this? Because on the older ONKs, 6060s, they're a notoriously difficult cartridge to get out, and the 34mm shaved down, you can do a set of secondaries by the time they've done 1 or 2 with the spanner. Now, dummy reliefs. Now, this is a bit of a luxury, and I never really use these, but the dummy reliefs for closed loop circuits, especially on the 400s, because you have so many pumps, never really needed them, but I still have them there. So you would have seen in the videos the Milwaukee adapters, right? So for the powering things up, really handy. I nearly bust these out every swing now, and I have a ton of different harnesses made up that go in my backpack. Everyone calls me Dora the Explorer because I have a Milwaukee backpack with all my gear in it, but I'm the one laughing when you're diagnosing up on the machine. It's so much easier. So you would have seen that in the grease videos. And then my favorite, and this is a unique one that I like to carry, you would have seen the reels and the videos of the big long CAN bus cable and the handpiece for tuning ONKs. So I've used that to flow secondaries, set main reliefs, do cutoffs, all sorts of things with the swing circuit as well too. So you can have hands-free, well, it's not hands-free, you can have, you don't have to have someone in the cab, right? And you know, it's really hard when the machine is running, and you know, at times I've used spanners or hammers to ding, you know, back and forth. But when you're doing a slew fault, it's so much easier and safer to have that handpiece with you, and you can just hold it, and then you can make live adjustments like that as well too. So it just removes the operator confusion, you know, from the situation. But that is something that not everyone's going to have, or everyone's going to be able to use, right? So unique tooling, something you'll build up over time depending on what you're working on, and mine's very targeted to the ONKs and the Lee Bears, right? With that hydraulic pump, you know, really good for, you know, just unique stuff. And you can use it as well too on grease fittings that are not taking grease. You can go punch a bit of hydraulic oil in there to clean it out, right? Now we're going to get into my high-end tooling, and I do have some money's worth of high-end tooling. So let's get into it. High-end tooling, and does good tools make a good tradesman? First, I just want to say how important it is to be a multifaceted tradesman. That means at times picking up the welder, picking up a multimeter and getting amongst it. And you'll see through some of the tooling that I have why that's so important. And then I just picked up probably one of the most expensive tools that I've brought recently. So start off with just basic, well, not really basic, but gauges, analog and digital, right? It's important to have both. You need both. The digitals are really handy when you're just reading basic pressures. I have the HDSA kit that you guys would have seen in the videos. Now this kit's like $700 and it comes with a ton of T pieces and fittings. So it basically takes the thinking out of it. So you can just take the kit up on the machine with you. For example, I had a eliminator fold on a QSK60, took the kit up there and boom, it had the fitting size. So it takes the thinking out of things, right? You know, when you're on a breakdown, time is money, right? You want that just takes that burden away from you. You know, you don't have to run back up to go and get a fitting to test something or not test it, right? Radiator pressure testing kit. I just picked that up recently. It's a really good kit. I've used it time and time again, and I just said I'm going to get one. Now, multifaceted. I have a TIG and can TIG weld. You know, I'm not a pipeline welder by any means, but I'll get in and have a crack. And this is a really handy skill to have, especially when you're doing hard pipes and things like that. You cannot do a better repair than with the TIG, right? I learned off a pipeline welder and he showed me all the tricks of the trade. Not that I'm as good as him, but yeah, definitely a very handy skill to have. And I have a TIG here at home that I practice on frequently. Now, you would have seen in the videos as well too, FLIR C5 thermal imaging camera. I will look at upgrading this. I literally bust that thing out every day. At first, there's a bit of a backstory to this. There was a Liebherr fella at Mac River, and we used to have arguments. He goes, why didn't you use the thermal imaging camera? Well, I didn't need the thermal imaging camera. I found it with my temp gun. Temp gun's great, but the thermal imager, and what I'll say about the temp gun is great if you're looking for a problem. The thermal imager is just, a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? You are doing preventative maintenance with that thing, and I bust that thing out every day. Now, I have a tablet with Insight, CAT, ET, and SIS on it. And just about every manual you could imagine and connector you could imagine, that thing is worth its weight in gold. I use that thing. When I first got it, I didn't think I'd use it as much as I did. And then I literally use that thing probably 2 or 3 times a week on swing, I reckon. This is another nice little tool to have, is a digital tacho. So really good for setting you know, fan speeds and aircon motor speeds and things like that. Now, nitrogen charge kit. These things are expensive, and I have one of these, like really handy to have. It's a high-end tool. You know, you're looking at sort of entry-level $2,300 to get one of those, and that's a basic kit. Now, multifaceted. I am an electrician as well too. It's not my first trade, but I definitely back myself when it comes to electrics, and I've learnt so much through electrics about hydraulics because they're so similar, right? Now I have a Fluke F223 meter detachable face. Man, I love that thing. Tons of probes with that as well too. Actually just picked up another kit of leads and probes, and I will add to that. I can't stress enough how important it is to have kits like that so you contain all your stuff, and it's really important to put your tools back in the same spot so you can just go, it makes you a quicker and more effective tradesman. Now I have a Fluke amp clamp F378, brilliant bit of kit. I've now used that, I use that thing all the time as well too. And the purchase was a thermal drone, so I'm pretty excited about this thing to see what we can see with it, and saves them pulling that machine off the bench. It's really important with heat. And when you're using your thermal cameras, if that machine is not in work mode, it's basically redundant. So within 10, 15 minutes of it walking off the bench, if you're getting around with your thermal camera and thermal drone, you're wasting your time, right? Heat dissipates so quickly. Yes, you will pick some things up, and I'll include some examples in this. But by the time that thing walks off the bench, for example, if you've got a hot pin, that hot pin will dramatically dissipate the heat quickly, and it won't be as noticeable, right? And thermal images, I've learnt so much through using that thing. So if you have one and you don't use it, and you are doing inspections and things like that as the machine on fuel up, start getting the thing out. And I've picked up now batteries, alternators, rollers, just everything and anything, and cylinders as well too. So I'm fascinated by the thermal imager now, and I've really learnt how to use it, and even reliefs as well too I've picked up, which I was surprised that I would be able to do that. So now the question, do good tools make a good tradesman? Well, not straight away, but I tell you what, when you pick up experience, these will definitely add another string to your bow, and it goes from basically maintenance to a preventative maintenance thing. So you can pick things up before they happen. Like the whole idea behind the amp clamp was to go and do single starters, so you don't have to go and then manually disconnect it. So when you've got 2 starter motors and it's on a service, boom, jam your amp clamp on each individual one, and I can log it through the phone. The one thing I will say about the Fluke F378, a little bit disappointed with the reach on the Bluetooth on that thing. It needs a receiver or something. It's really hard with the big diggers. So Fluke, if you're watching, that's one improvement I would like to make. Now, the thermal drone, yeah, I'm very excited about that. So I just want to stress how important it is to be multifaceted as a tradesman, adding things like TIG welding, and electrics to your bow just makes it that much easier. You don't have to call upon someone. You can just keep going when it comes to fault finding. So especially to the young viewers out there, do not be afraid to go and pick up a gauge, pick up a multimeter, pick up a welder, go and get amongst it. No one's better than anyone else. That's what's got me to where I am these days, is being able to pick up the welder. I'll go and lay beads with the Boilermakers if I have to. I'll go and hang with the auto sparkies if I have to, and I'll at times I don't need a sparky too often, but it's good to work with them because I learn how they go about things, because they're approaching it from a different perspective to what I am. So hopefully you've gotten something out of this. Tooling is something that you build up over time. What I have is specific to what I do, and what you do, start building up that specific tooling. It's you can spend thousands of dollars on it, but as I used to waste it on weekends, away with degenerate behavior. Now I'm more than happy to spend the money on tools. I love tools. So thanks for watching. If you're still here, smash that like button, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. And if you want to get in on the hats, jump over to HDSA's page. I'll leave the link in the bio. Cheers.